I'm Julie Webb, and thank you so much for downloading Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. Now, I'm super excited to be hosting LitCentric Radio, the podcast for elementary teachers who love all things literacy. It's a literacy coach in your pocket, and I can't wait to share with you the very first lesson from episode number 1. We've got our mentor text, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, which I have right here. Of course, my copy is falling apart because my students read it so much, and I've got it taped and all sorts of things. So it's a well-loved book. If you haven't read this book before, you're missing out. You need to go buy one on LitCentric.com. But for now, let's take a look at our lesson for today. So in episode 1, we talk about different methods of persuasion. Here we're calling them persuasion strategies. And this book has so many wonderful different methods that the Pigeon uses to persuade us. Now, when you download your lesson, what's included is a little bit of information about the text. Then you'll see some pages that look like this, that have blank squares in them for you to fill up with sticky notes, either 3x3 or 3x5 sticky notes, and you'll see which ones are which. And you can use that to then print off the text-dependent questions, or in this case also some of the sticky notes for the chart itself. Okay, there's a video included on how to do that, so take a look at that if you haven't done that before. What's also included is a sheet that has the writing task at the end that you may choose to do with your students and modify accordingly. And this writing task was designed specifically to match the text-dependent questions as well as the bridge chart as a way to set up and transition students from reading comprehension into the writing task that they're going to do. Okay, so take a look at that. I'd love for you to share the writing that your students do. Follow me on social media and let me know how it goes. So the text-dependent questions that you're going to use, as I said, you print them out on your sheet and you go ahead and stick them inside your book where they belong. So some of the text-dependent questions like these on the sticky note, it actually tells you which page to put it on because it goes at a specific point in the book. In this case, it says title page. There's some others that maybe say, like this one here at the end says page 30 and 31. I numbered the pages of the books. I start with the very first page that has text on it, would be page number 1, and I go from there. So you don't have to actually write the numbers on your pages if you don't want to, but at least it gives you a sense of where we are in the book. Okay. You can also, some teachers like to print their sticky notes the other side up because they like to, have the sticky notes stick across the top or out the side. You can orient them however you like. And it's great, you can actually keep the sticky note here from year to year. You don't have to print new sticky notes every single time, so it saves you time. And if a sticky note gets gross, you can always reprint one. It's really easy to do. Okay. There are also some sticky notes that maybe go before or after the text is read that don't have page numbers on them, like these, for example. These are questions I would ask after we've read this story, probably even more than once, maybe on day 2, and I just have them stuck to the back. You can choose which text-dependent questions you want to focus on for day 1, maybe day 2. There may be some that you decide to leave out or you don't have time for in your lesson, and that's okay too. There's a multitude of ways to use those. Now, let's take a look at our lesson for today. We've got our bridge chart here, and for this lesson, you've printed out 3x5 sticky notes that are the bright orange ones here, and these are the persuasion strategies that we talked about in episode number 1. We've got make personal connections, show evidence, ask questions, make claims, whine, and plead. Now, as I mentioned in the episode, you're going to be sorting some of the text from the book, and I've got that on the sticky notes here. Now, these are just part of the text from the book. I can't take the text from the entire book because I didn't write the book. So we've just got partial ones here to give you a sense of what that can be. You can always create more. You can sort every single piece of text or piece of dialogue from the book if you'd like to, but this actually is enough to get kids started. Now, when we sort these, the only thing that you're going to have on your chart is these bright orange header cards, the 6 persuasion strategies, when you start with students. Of course, you can write the text up here and the focus of what you're working on. Also, for LitCentric Radio, I'm using a whiteboard because I don't want to waste chart paper and kill trees and that kind of thing, so I'm trying to be a little more ecologically friendly. So I'm using a whiteboard here, but I definitely recommend using chart paper so that you can keep that chart over time. Also, as you put sticky notes on your chart, You may want to actually afterwards dab a little bit of glue right behind it and stick it down so that it doesn't fall off later, because you'll find some of these charts students will go back to multiple times, and if you're not careful, those sticky notes will fall off. So maybe a little piece of tape or a little bit of glue after you're done making the chart with kids would be a good idea. So when you start the lesson with your students, again, you only have your 6 header cards up, and you've got your page of sticky notes with these bits of dialogue from the text on it. And you can ask kids one by one to help you sort which ones they think belong in which category. Now you can do this a couple different ways depending on the age level of students you're working with and how much language support and idea support they might need. You might go ahead and read each one of these for your students, ask them maybe do a thumbs up or thumbs down, or talk with a partner and then vote on where they think it should go. And because it's a sticky note, it's easy for us to change our ideas later. You can see at the end, each category has 2 bits of text from it, from the book. Students won't know that going in. You may also decide to leave off a couple just so that they're not all equal in each one. Sometimes that throws kids off in a good way and gets them thinking a little more deeply about where things actually belong in the chart. Okay? So another way to do this with students is to pass out sticky notes to groups of kids and ask them to have that dialogue and have them place it on a chart. Either way, you want this to be an interactive chart where students are having to think carefully, change their mind, kind of make arguments about why or why not it shouldn't be placed in that area. And you want the thinking and the discussion to come through. That's the entire point of a bridge chart. It's not for me to set it up perfect and hand it in this final form. It's for me to actually build it and co-construct it with students in an interactive way that gets them thinking, so that not only does their comprehension increase of the book we read, but they can do that writing task successfully on their own later. So I hope you try this lesson with your class. I've had great success with it with children and adults alike. And check out some of the other things we have at LitCentric.com. And I hope to see you next time.